Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host, Logan Landers, and join me today to talk about the game preview between the UConn Huskies and the Fresno State Bulldogs is our resident Paul Bunyan here on 100 Yards of Football. Jay McLovin, what's up, man?
Hey, we're doing good. How are you doing, Logan?
Hey, can't complain. Talking some college football. It's coming back soon. August the 28th is when this game will be played. I believe 2 or 3 o'clock, so very early game. Everyone can watch it. It's going to be a Saturday. It's going to be fun to watch. About 10 days away, so it's coming up fast, and I'm ready to get some college football back in my system, sit on the couch, get some popcorn in hand, and watch some great football. But before we dive deep into this game preview, be sure if you like our content, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We go live each and every week on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. Also, if you're a fan of podcasts, well, we're in luck because we have a podcast that comes out every single day with new episodes, whether it be game previews. We did previous team previews for the majority of the college football teams, as well as NFL teams as well. Also, we have great Legends interviews with former players, Hall of Famers, coaches, you name it, it is on our show. And please go check that out and leave us a review if you would do so very kindly. All right, Jay, let's get into this one. The Huskies versus the Bulldogs. UConn versus Fresno State. So what are your thoughts on this game, and who do you think is going to walk away 1-0 on this early game in the season?
Right. Well, one thing we know is UConn hasn't played in what? They skipped last year. So they're a very well-rested team. I mean, these guys are well-rested. And whatever flaws they had a whole entire year to just sit back and do nothing but tweak on. Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, I think Fresno, they haven't had exactly the best defense in the world the last year or so. And their linebackers are going to have to do way more than what they had done in the past. What does that mean? So that means for UConn, Kevin Menses is a strong, quick back, and he should find a lot of running room if he can get past the linebacking core, which I think he can. So for the key for me is I think UConn can win is they're going to have to use a balanced running game with passing, obviously, but when that running game it actually gets going, they're going to have to get it going. They need to round and pound and keep on pounding until Fresno's spine breaks, basically. Right. Fresno, I look at Fresno and they haven't really been that impressed with them for a long period of time, but I think that this team is still I personally think they're in pretty good shape, a little bit better than what UConn was since they took it a whole year off. So we really don't know a whole lot about UConn in terms of what they really have. All we can rely on is what we think they have. Head coach DeBauer for the Fresno said they've had a few ups and downs this season, and I believe it. Former Washington star recruit Jake Harner ripped it up last year. He turned in a 300-yard machine. So he shouldn't. Yeah, I think with this one, I'm definitely going to go with the UConn Huskies. I think to pull this one out over a Fresno defense, and I know that sounds kind of crazy, given that UConn's had a year off, but I think that speedy back, and I'm basing that off of Fresno's defense not playing that well. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's kind of where I put it at, Logan.
Yeah, I'm actually going to disagree with you here, Jay. We're going to have a little bit of tension here on the show. I think Fresno State's going to pull this one off because, like you mentioned, UConn's been off for a season. They didn't play at all last year. They took the year off due to everything going on in the world. So, I mean, I get they're going to be fired up and ready to play their first game in a long time, but I think they might be a little rusty, Jay. They might not be in the best shape. We'll see, because Fresno State, even though, like we mentioned, they aren't a powerhouse at the moment, that they are, they've been playing. They have guys who are putting up good stats, and I think Fresno State's going to pull this one off. So the key for me, I think, is for Fresno State, can you get to the quarterback? I think David Perellis is going to be the big key, the DN who's going to be getting over there. He did great in all Mountain West. He had 8.5 tackles for losses, 4.5 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles too. So I think he's going to be a key. He's a little bit smaller, 6'3", only 245, but that speed is really going to help out on the O-line, which we don't know how it's going to perform, Jay, because they didn't have anything to do last year. So it's kind of a toss-up. As for keeping it with Fresno State, I think that Hayner, I think the quarterback for them, he's going to have a good season once again. Like you said, he hit about 65% of his passes, so not too shabby. Threw for about 2,000 yards, a few touchdowns, and only a couple of picks, so not too bad. I think he's going to be fine. I think that's going to be the big key also with running back Ronnie Rivers, who's in his senior year. I think those two are going to have a decent season, and I think it's going to propel them for a win against UConn. But going after them, I think one of the big keys for UConn is their running back with Kevin Mensah. He's a senior. He's he's kind of small, Jay. He's only 5'9", 202 pounds, but he's able to run the ball with the best of them, run for over 1,000 yards in his sophomore and junior season. And so we'll see how he can do after, taking a year off, and if he can still get those legs churning as good as he did those last two seasons. And as for their defense, I expect that Omar Fort, their linebacker, he's going to have a good year. He's a big guy. He got about 185 tackles in his 3 years at UConn, so he's proven to be a big hitter. And I think that while I do agree that UConn's going to be well-rested and fired up to play this game, I'm going to give the edge to Fresno State just based off of their stats, just how they did last year, and just that, because last year UConn wasn't able to get much in sync, and they weren't able to really do much. And Fresno State, they're still getting a lot of their guys coming back who know each other like the back of their hands, and they're just going to be able to get into the flow of the game a little bit better, I think, than UConn. I think it's going to be a blowout, but I think Fresno State will win by about 2 touchdowns in this one. But I mean, I'm sure that UConn win or lose or draw, they're just happy to be back on the field this season. So, Jay, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up this game preview?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be I think the game will be decided by 1 or 2 scores. I don't think it's going to be like any kind of crazy out-of-the-way blowout by either one of these teams. I just look for I do believe in UConn and their running game. I know it sounds crazy, but I think that UConn's running game is going to be the difference maker in this particular series. And I know he's a little undersized, but he's quick. And sometimes speed kills. You know what I mean? Speed kills sometimes. So as long as if they can't catch you, they can't stop you.
That's a good point. But yeah, I'm ready to see how this one's going to play out, man. It's going to be a fun one. It's always fun to kind of talk about the teams that not a lot of people think about in college football. Because, I mean, these two teams, they're not powerhouses per se in college football, but that don't mean nothing. Just because you're not the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world or Clemson, don't mean you still can't put on a good football game. So I'm ready to see how this one's going to shake out. I'm going to give the edge to Fresno State. Jay's going with UConn. But what do you think? If you're a viewer watching, if you're listening to the podcast, who do you think's going to win this one, Fresno State or UConn? The game's going to be played on August 28th, so we got about 2 weeks, or about 10 days left until this game is going to be played. So you got a little bit of time to drop your predictions. Or if you're watching this in the future, hello, future us. Also, put who won the game, and we can see if we got it right. That's always what I sometimes do for our previous game previews we've done over the years. I go back and I see, it's like, okay, did I predict who won the Super Bowl last year, or did I royally screw it up? So please go back and check out some of those other great game previews we've done, because we've covered a lot of them here on the program. Well, like I said, if you guys have enjoyed this content here today, first off, thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitch. Also, go check out our podcast. We upload daily episodes with amazing game previews, team previews, legends interviews with guys who've just gotten drafted to the NFL, hoping to get their start pretty soon. And so we have a lot of great content with our cast and crew. Of course, the guy who started all Mr. Football, Vincent Turner, our amazing producer, Jeremiah Long, and of course, I can't forget these two guys as well. One of the best high school coaches in the state of Georgia, Kevin the Bull Jones, and of course, a guy, Bobby Butler, former Florida State Seminole and first-round draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons back in 1981. So go check out all of our amazing content. It gets uploaded every single week, and we thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching our show. For my co-host, Jay McLovin, thank you, man, so much for coming on and dropping that knowledge about who's going to win. We got a battle between this one. Me and Jay got a little rivalry between them. We've got UConn, we've got Fresno State. We'll see how it shakes out. Game's in 10 days, so please tune in, watch the game, and we got another great game preview coming up for you in just a second right here on 100 Yards of Football. See you soon.